They've told us that weight loss is a simple math calculation. So if you're in a calorie deficit, you're going to lose weight. This is a lie that you and I have believed for decades. We've applied it to our lives religiously and continue to gain weight. So I want to look at why it doesn't actually work and then what we should have really been doing. I'm going to start by saying that you clicked on this video because you want to know the truth. So I want to ask you, please put down what you think you know about weight loss, because I'm going to share what I learned that let me lose 80 pounds in 5 months, 7 years ago. If you found this video after the year 2025, I'm going to encourage you to go to my most recent video and check. And you're going to see that I've maintained my weight loss. So the calorie deficit idea is based on how we measure energy in mechanical systems. But when it comes to human bodies, that's what you and I have, we do chemical reactions, we build structures, we manage fluids, and we use some of that food we eat for energy, right? And many other things, Wellness Warrior. Our body is complicated and is doing a bunch of stuff. So the first problem that we're trying to understand and fix is that calories in, calories out is way too simple to explain everything that our body is doing when we eat food. But I know many of you are going to have the question of, why is it that some people get success when they calorie restrict, right? They lose weight. What's going on there? It's because most of us don't just calorie restrict. We eat less processed stuff and we eat more real food because at the back of our head, we actually understand that carbage isn't helping us. So when we do the right thing and eat the right foods and reduce our calories at the same time, it doesn't last. So we end up on a roller coaster of weight loss, weight gain, weight loss, weight gain. And although we could end up having lost weight, we are starving. Well, that's an exaggeration, but we're hungry all the time. And so when we get to our goal weight, we don't maintain whatever we did to get here. Even if what we did to get here was eat much better food. We feel better, we look better. No, we feel hungry and we look better and we resume eating normally. So can we just pause and think about why were we hungry? The way that I will explain this, Wellness Warrior, is that it's like we have a bunch of trees on our property that we're going to use to make money. And the only thing that I can think of is to sell the wood as firewood. If the wood, so the trees on my property are pine, and I sell them as firewood, my customers are not going to be happy because pine is a soft wood and it's not going to burn well, and you're going to just run through that before the winter is even over. However, if I have hardwoods, but let's say it's mahogany or teak or purple heart, and I sell that as firewood, I'm going to lose money because that kind of wood I really should be using to make furniture or that's an expensive wood. You don't want to sell that as firewood. My point is, we need to know what type of wood we have on the property in order to sell it for its intended purpose. In the world of food, we've been so focused on calories that we haven't paid attention to where the calories are coming from. Recently, this obsession we have with calories and the calorie is a calorie model that we've been using has been pushed to the extreme. And now we have the sugar diet. Now, I made a video about that I'm going to ask you to check out after this one. It's linked here and I'll have it down below. But honestly, Wellness Warrior, we all know that feeding our children candy wouldn't be good for their health. They wouldn't grow properly. They'd have cavities. Their health would be horrible. And we all know that. So how could it possibly be good for adult health to do a sugar diet? There are 3 macronutrients that can give us calories. Our body needs all 3 of them. So I'm going to start there. But we only need to eat 2 of them. Now, this contradicts the food company's marketing about calories in, calories out. Oh, Were you not aware that the idea of a calorie deficit was a marketing tactic that food companies created to distract the world from the fact that they were feeding us non-nutritive garbage that was causing obesity? I learned about that when I read the book Salt, Sugar, Fat. I'm going to link that book in the description if you want to go check it out. So if you weren't aware about that, you probably don't even know who I am. Let me introduce myself. I'm Violet, and I created this channel because learning that I was lied to about calories made me realize that my fellow serial dieters were still unaware. It makes me sick to know that food companies are still stealing your health, Wellness Warrior. So I make videos to shine a light on these lies. Please subscribe. Michael Moss exposed how food companies work together to blame consumers for their health issues so that they could continue to sell families on this idea that convenience and fast foods will make their lives easier. So, what do we actually need to eat? There are 3 macronutrients: carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. We need to eat protein and fat. Our body makes all the carbohydrates that we ever need. Proteins and fats are meat, fish, poultry, and eggs. That's where you find proteins and healthy fats. There's a huge point of confusion because we are told we need fruits and vegetables for micronutrients, so vitamins and minerals. But we can get vitamins and minerals from meat, fish, poultry, and eggs. They want us eating carbohydrates so that our body is constantly telling us we're hungry. Why is our body constantly telling us that we're hungry? Because we're eating carbohydrates. So if we eat the carbohydrates from fruits and vegetables, which by the way are the same carbohydrates that carbage is made from, so cookies, ice cream, blah, 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 eventually we end up eating one of food companies' snacks. The second problem that I see is that dieting is seen as restrictive. So being in a deficit to lose weight means that I'm not eating as much as I was before, even though I end up eating more than I was eating before. So this is part of the thing that is so frustrating, is that we are being deprived because we are not allowed to eat the fun stuff we were eating. So even though we're eating a lot of food, it's not a lot of the food we want to eat. It's a lot of the food that's lower in calorie so we can make our stomach feel full and lose weight, but we don't really like what we're eating. There's so much wrong with this that it makes me want to just scream, I guess would be the thing. Swear even, like, but now that I know what I know, Wellness Warrior, it all makes sense. If dieting is about deprivation, nobody is ever going to want to do it. That means food companies don't have to worry about 90% of us, right? Because 90% of people are going to look at this and say, well, why would I do that to myself? And not do it. And then the few of us who are going to try to do it, we're going to struggle because we're hungry, and they'll come out with a new flavor of cookie or soda or ice cream or whatever and dangle that carrot in front of our face. And because we're still eating carbohydrates, our brain is still wanting those carbohydrates, we end up taking the bait and eating the garbage anyway. This is why you fall off your diet. They don't just want us to spend our money on their junk food, Wellness Warrior. They want us to overeat their junk food so that we buy it every single week when we go grocery shopping. They want their junk to be part of our meal plan. This is what I learned in that book that I read that made me so angry, but solidified in my head that I needed to put garbage down because it's not actually what my body was ever asking for. Your body doesn't want junk food. But since our eyes are focused on calories, what happens? See, fat has more calories than carbohydrates. So we fear eating it. It's presented to us as if it will cause us to gain weight, right? Fat makes you fat. We've all heard that. This means that we end up avoiding eating meat, fish, poultry, and whole eggs. Wellness warrior, every time you feel hungry, so when your stomach growls, your body is either asking you for water, protein, or fat. And I can say that with absolute certainty and confidence because of one simple thing that we know. Our body makes all the carbohydrates that we need. That means you never need to eat them. By allowing yourself to eat meat, fish, poultry, and eggs, whole eggs, you are actually giving your body what it's asking you for. I want us to understand that our body is not a child. It's actually a quite complex, very focused, process-driven, amazing factory, amazing machine. And if we provide it what it's, so going back to the land we're living on, right? If we were to take that wood and bring it to a factory, and we only providing pine to this factory, the factory would only be able to make firewood, furniture, construction material, and musical instruments out of the pine because we're only giving it one source of wood. Versus, if we understand what we're doing, we're going to be able to take that pine that we're giving it and produce construction material. But then, because we're also bringing in some mahogany, the factory would produce furniture. And because we're bringing in some ebony, maybe the factory produces some guitars. By giving the factory the different kinds of wood it would be looking for to do different kinds of things, it produces the right stuff with what we're giving it. Wellness warrior, we need to understand that our body does different stuff with carbohydrates than it does with protein, than it does with fat. So since it makes all the carbohydrates that it needs, when it asks us for something, it's asking us for protein and fat. If we give our body what it's asking for, all of a sudden, our body can do the processes. So making structures, keeping those fluids topped up, producing some energy, of course, and whatever else it needs to do because we gave it what it asked us for. Our body will then give us good health at the correct weight. We need to accept that we are not smarter than our bodies. We need to accept that before processed foods were created, our bodies were doing what it needed to do. And we were not eating mostly vegetation back then. We were eating mostly animals back then. Processed food is new in the grand scheme of how long we've been on this planet. And in the grand scheme of how long we've been on this planet, we've been chasing animals. I just want to say that. But there's a third problem because companies have us so obsessed with our weight that we're making mistakes. There are as many ads for snacks as there are for weight loss programs, weight loss snacks, and gyms. No matter what you try to do, Wellness Warrior, you're going to end up giving your money to a company. If you fail at the weight loss options that they're going to offer you because you're eating too much of their carbage, don't worry about it. They have an answer for you because they have pills and surgeries that they can sell you after that. All of this works in the company's favor because they know that they've set us up to fail by focusing our attention on calories and weight loss. Two things that our body could not care less about. Here's the truth. Your body puts excess carbohydrates in fat storage to protect you from high blood sugar. High blood sugar damages nerves, blood vessels, tissues, and organs in our body. So damaged everything can lead to kidney problems, eye damage, nerve damage, heart disease. Name the body part or organ or can cause damage to it. High blood sugar is very, very dangerous for us. And we all know that to be true. If your blood sugar is high for too long, they label that diabetes. And then you're on medication. This is not new information. Okay, what causes high blood sugar? All plant-based processed foods, ultra-processed foods cause high blood sugar. All high carbohydrate fruits and vegetables contribute to high blood sugar. All high carbohydrate drinks contribute to high blood sugar. Okay, what is high carbohydrate? According to Dr. Westman, whom I learned this from, if you have insulin resistance, high carbohydrate is then 20 grams of carbs for the day. So what that means is he was telling us we have to eat less than 20 grams of carbs in a day. Okay. What's insulin resistance? Oh, by the way, before I move on to that, the average apple has 25-ish grams of carbs. The average banana would have about 27. If you have a few berries or some, like a kiwi would have 20 to 30. So we need to understand that fruits, nature's candy, have a lot of carbohydrates in them. How do I know if I have insulin resistance? That'll be the next question you have to ask yourself. Well, the easiest test is, do you have weight to lose? I'm assuming that's why you clicked on this video, by the way. But that was my story. I had weight to lose. So, yep, I had insulin resistance. If you have weight to lose, you're much more likely to have insulin resistance. If you have inflammation, that's painful joints, water retention, you're very likely to have insulin resistance. And I had that too. If you have a thin body, but a distended belly, you likely have insulin resistance. Wow. And if you have any kind of metabolic dysfunction, metabolic issues, metabolic health problems, you very likely have insulin resistance. With what I learned from Dr. Barry, Dr. Fung, Dr. Berg, Dr. Chafee, and many other doctors that I follow, the reason to eat healthy is more about getting your body back to a healthy state than it is about losing weight. Because the reason that we're overweight is our body is trying to protect us from all the wrong things that we are eating. But it has to do something with that sugar. But there's a secret, Wellness Warrior, that food companies don't want you to know. And when I found this out, my entire life changed. When you eat real food and you put down the processed stuff, your body starts to respond immediately. I was obese. I was in pain. I had inflamed joints and was limping because of hip pain at the very young age of 46. I struggled with my hip pain for 8 months, doing chiropractic appointments and exercising, trying to avoid the obviously needed surgery that was on the horizon. Wasn't ready yet. Doctors told me it's not bad enough yet. I don't even know if I could have managed to get to the state that I needed to get to for the surgery, because I was already crying daily from the pain I was in. I had tried everything I could think of, and going to the chiropractor, spending lots of money because it wasn't covered. And I found keto and thought, what the heck do I have to lose? And I started a keto diet. And guess what happened? I was back to doing my activities, longboarding, riding my bike, rollerblading, riding my trike in less than 2 months. It took me 5 months to lose all the weight. Your body wants to be healthy. And guess what? A healthy body regulates its weight. They don't want you knowing that. Companies have us fighting our bodies, fighting ourselves, fighting our brains, trying to figure out how to lose weight, when a healthy body regulates its weight. Because a healthy body that's being fed healthy foods has no reason to keep putting the sugar that you're no longer overeating in fat storage. Trying to eat carbage and be at a good weight despite knowing that it's the carbage that's causing the problem is the problem that companies don't want us to understand that we have. Now that you know the truth, I'd love to know what you're going to do. Wellness Warrior, put it in the comments below. And then you're going to want to watch this video about regaining control over the food going into your body. Click on the link that I put below